I'm joined this week by Maggie Werner-Washburn, Regents Professor Emerita at UNM. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Also Gus Pedrati, UNM alum and former mayoral candidate. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Jacqueline Delora is a PhD student in biomedical engineering at UNM. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Maggie, I want to start with you. Some people want to focus on keeping young people through school after they graduate, but you're also making a pitch in this symposium to bring back young people to New Mexico. Why is that?
Well, in my programs that I've run and in my lab, I've worked almost entirely with students from New Mexico, and I've wanted them to have huge amounts of opportunities. I mean, I don't think of an educational pipeline. I think of walking with my students to the top of a mountain, and then they get to see all the opportunities available to them. So if I can get a student who's thinking about, well, my biggest thing would be I could go to Iowa State or something, no offense to Iowa State, you know, if I can get them to Duke or Princeton or Harvard or someplace like that and have them be stable there, then they can network there and learn everything that's around there. And what's nice is that a lot of our former students, these young professionals who've taken that route, now I found out they'd like to come home and help New Mexico grow and have a career here. So it's very exciting for me that they've got these great connections, that they know New Mexico. And then we have a number of students, I think 30% of the people that are coming for this symposium are from here, have been here. And so that's fine too. I think it's a great mix of you know, experience outside New Mexico and solid long-term connections in the state. So we're good.
Gus, when you were getting ready to graduate, do you feel like you had enough information about the businesses out there and the opportunities for you?
Locally, no, and that's why this program is so important. It really is about matchmaking and understanding opportunities that are around us. And for somebody that was only graduating with a bachelor's degree, which sometimes isn't enough in STEM fields, it's good to know that, first of all, the research that I was doing at UNM was valid and was nationally competitive, even internationally competitive, and that those opportunities are available for everyone here. So it's about pushing that dialogue and increasing connections and understanding of what is really here at home.
Now, Jacqueline, you're studying at UNM right now, but some of your peers are studying in other states. What are you hearing from them? Do they want to come home? Do they know what's available for them here?
They do. They miss New Mexico. They maybe don't know so well what is available, and that's where this symposium is really connecting the dots. We're all going to be able to come together and realize what kind of opportunities are here in the state so that we can come back home or stay home.
Maggie, what do you think is different about getting these New Mexicans, folks who grew up here, who've gotten their education or gotten some work experience to come back versus recruiting people who may not know New Mexico?
Well, I think companies have a lot of trouble sometimes when people aren't familiar with New Mexico. They come and they maybe don't see what's incredible here. But I know that the former students, the young professionals that I've dealt with, they understand the cultures here, they love New Mexico, they want to help with things that we need to fix, and they want to really enjoy and support the things that we love here. So they're going to come back with with their feet on the ground and running. They'll be much more connected, and I think they'll help the businesses that hire them.
And Gus, I know this is something you care about, like fixing problems, or saying this is what's happening right now, but we can do something about it. How do you see millennials playing a role in that, especially folks in the STEM field who want to be invested in their work here, but also invested in the community at the same time?
And I think that's one of the big ups about working where you're from, is that you're so much more in tune and in step with everything that's going on in the community. So it requires less effort outside of your busy workday or your high cognitive effort lab work to engage your community. You're comfortable in it already. You understand, you know the pressure points. And so in that way, you can understand that you've spent your whole life learning how to innovate in a meaningful way in your community. And you get to, live, work, play in this environment that has now been, or has never before been, so malleable to you. And that's something that's really inspiring because your hours now go further, your heart goes further, and your work really does have massive ripple effects within the community.
Jacqueline, do you feel like there's a perception out there of like, UNM's not quite good enough, and you've got to say, hey, we're doing nationally and internationally recognized work here?
Definitely. There is that perception, and I think that it's up to people like myself and my peers to make sure that others perceive New Mexico as very innovative and able to kind of step into the market as well.
Yeah. And what are the ways that you're working to connect with folks right now beyond this symposium? Do you find it easy to get in touch with the businesses and people you want to meet? What's your experience?
I feel like it takes a lot of work as a PhD student to kind of look to what's out there and figure out exactly where you want to be and where you want your work to really have an impact. And that's why this symposium is really important for me, especially because I do find myself wanting to stay connected to my family, to my community, and that is here in Albuquerque. And so kind of figuring out what kinds of opportunities are here for me was really important, and Maggie has kind of fostered the opportunity to figure that out.
So Maggie, for the young professionals who aren't living in New Mexico right now, they could be anywhere. How did you find them?
Well, one of the reasons that I came to New Mexico was because I love the students. And so between my work in my laboratory and then also running pre-PhD programs, I've worked with well over 500 students here at UNM, plus I've mentored young people around the country. It's one of the things that I've done. And I have a database with between the database and my email list, it's well over 500 people that I can contact in a heartbeat. And the nice thing about it is that for these young professionals, they're ignoring 80 to 90% of their emails. But when they get one from me, because we've had such great relationships, they'll answer it. And the other thing I did was that this symposium seemed like such a good idea that I opened it up to other programs at UNM, and then I also opened it up to programs at New Mexico State and at Tech. But we didn't start until late August, so the fact that we have 155 people that are interested in staying in touch with us, and 90 probably who are coming. I have CVs for many of them. It's just the interest has amazed me. It's been great.
Those relationships are so important, but how do you go about making this is an experiment this year, but making this a permanent thing, a permanent opportunity that anyone could pick up and make sure happens?
Well, I'm a scientist, so I would say right now I don't know. I'll be honest with you. But I've created a lot of surveys that have really helped me understand the population of young professionals that are coming and what they're interested in. I have a business survey that really should be like a job board for millennials because it's just completely transparent for them. And we'll do evaluations for both the businesses and the participants so that we'll have all this data put together. And I think from there we can figure out the group that needs to assemble to get this to happen. The National Institutes of Health is extremely interested. Department of Energy will be interested, Department of Education, the National Science Foundation, because they've put in hundreds of millions of dollars into states like New Mexico and into New Mexico itself for training. And what happens is we train these wonderful students and they go away, right? And so this is the very first time that we have used these training programs as a vehicle for finding the people who've moved out of state and have other jobs to bring them back. So it actually increases the value of their training program. So we're having someone from the NIH Director's Office, from Francis Collins, he wrote me and apologized for not being able to be here. So they think it's very important, and they're already talking about funding mechanisms for doing this here again and in other places.
And Gus, what do you think, looking into the future for students who are coming up right now, what would be a good model or opportunity to make sure that this is, when they're in school, they're already getting to know that there are these resources out there, there are these businesses out there? What do you think needs to happen?
Communication, every day of the week. My first year at UNM, I felt so lost. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what degree I wanted to pursue. And the way that I fixed that was I engaged the community more. I found places that I initially felt comfortable in and that gave me a security and support network that I could then knock on doors, go to professors and say, I read this and I have no idea what any of it means. Will you give me 15 minutes? And for some reason in New Mexico, because I guess millennials are such a hot commodity these days, they will. And anywhere else at institutions that are doing this research, you'd have to get through 3 or 4 locked, key-guarded doors to even say hello to these people. And instead, they're open. They're your neighbors more likely than not. And they're ready for you to engage. And so it's just about being willing to accept that vulnerability at first, to say, I don't know, but I'm so excited too. And to trust that there is a community out there who's ready to help pick up the pieces when it might not work out exactly how you planned.
And Jacqueline, what about students who maybe are just starting their PhD program? Do you have any advice for them of how they can get started on this?
Yeah, it's nice to think about it when you're very first starting, to kind of have a long-term goal, because your PhD is a marathon for sure. It takes a long time, a lot of hard work and energy and heart. And so just to kind of keep an open mind no matter what, because you never know what opportunity is going to present itself.
That is a great idea to end on. The New Mexico Educated Workforce in STEM Symposium is taking place in Albuquerque on December 20th and 21st. We're going to put a link on our website, newmexicoinfocus.org.